Team Fortress Source 2 on S&box had another playtest, so now is probably the best time to talk about it again since there has been some improvements and changes and, of course, to show folks how it's going so far. Hi, I'm Iridium. If you're rather confused about what even is Team Fortress Source 2, check my last video talking about it here since we're diving straight into the good stuff. The last video I did about Team Fortress Source 2 was 3 months ago, and for this video, I basically described my experience, talked about how it felt to play the game on S&box and the Source 2 engine itself, and also mentioned how much fun it was to experience it. But the game has gotten rather a couple of new updates, including probably one of the most basic things that people have mentioned, and that's the stylized shaders. Of course, currently they do look slightly cursed because of how the eyes are, but they did mention within the tweet shown on screen that they're working on it. From the screenshots shown on screen, they look absolutely awesome within the Source 2 engine, and it's really nice to see them finally implemented. Another thing I mentioned from my last video I did was how there was some characters that were disabled due to some bugs, which have now been squashed since the entire gang is all here now. So let's talk about classes. All the classes have their guns and weapons except for NG, which you weren't able to set up teleporters or turrets, at least yet, because there is no way for you to even equip the PDA. Spy was also another class that didn't have their sapper or disguise kit yet either, so I'm assuming at some point they'll be added just like the classic game. Another thing to mention was that back on April 25th, 2023, Kaya, product producer on the game, had tweeted out a new insane looking startup menu when you join a game. Now, I'll basically just show you exactly why this new menu looks awesome. It shows a completely different take and also reiteration of the class selection for the game. And as you can see with the lighting and presentation shown in the Source 2 engine is just unreal. Moving on to the actual playtest itself, last video I covered was on a capture point game mode, and with this one is on a payload map called Upward. Now they didn't mention this wasn't the only playtest that they'll be doing, but it's going to be very interesting to see more improvements over the next couple of months. The overall experience feels exactly the same as classic TF2 of course, with a lot better connection to the servers, which was nice and smooth this time around. There was some weird input glitching and delay happening, and I wasn't sure if it was on my part or just S&box dying from trying to keep track of what the key inputs you were pressing are. But again, it's a playtest, so it's nothing that won't be fixed for the future. I also forgot to mention that the playtest had a sick in-game visual list of what the playtest was all about, including all the possible issues players would be facing and that are known so that they don't end up reporting them instead of other bugs that are not known. There was some weird sound glitching happening too with the payload, which was absolutely horrifying. Take a listen. So yeah, imagine hearing this incredibly loud noise fighting to the death while you're pushing your team's payload. Pretty hardcore stuff. What I loved is how the flow of memeing from everyone playing was just insane. So many times medic has been called, so many times I've seen people dancing, and it was just overall chaotic, and I loved every second of it. With a proper closing note here, I will say that I won't be covering every single playtest that will be happening for TF2, as there are many other people within the community posting videos on YouTube already on that type of stuff. But I will be covering more of the important and bigger changes to the game, since I know this is most likely going to be one of the more popular S&box games that folks may want to get updates about every so often. But of course, if you enjoyed this video and actually want to learn more about what S&box is, check out this video on screen about how S&box's games are going to change drastically. Thank you for watching.